Hey Ashton, here we are in my studio and I'm going to attempt to record a tutorial for you that the other students will get in class on Tuesday. So the first thing I did was I framed out the paper, and now I'm going to look at these areas right here and kind of just block in your head. I've never done this before, so bear with me. Let me pull it back a little bit. Just kind of massing it in, and this is a 3H that I'm starting with. Okay, so now I'm going to just kind of rough in your face, keeping in mind where your neck is. Your neck's right there, and your shoulder's kind of coming behind your neck. And your shirt there. Okay, just kind of roughed in. Let me zoom out. And you see here with the clock tool, your angle of your face is at about 1 o'clock. So I'm going to do that. And then your eyes are at about 3:30, and they're, if you measure, okay, to the bridge of your nose and then to the top of your head, your eyes are just a little bit above the center point. So that's what I'm going to do here. And that right there. I'm just going to go ahead and just do your eyes right now. So if you'll measure your eyes, you'll see that they are exactly one eye apart. So a little trick I like to do is put fairly reasonable sized eye right there. And I'll adjust it as I go. But so you got that eye right in the middle of your crosshairs. So then I'll mark it there. And then there. Okay, so that's approximately where your eyes will go. So I'm just going to kind of rough those in. Not being too careful at this point. Now I'm going to get rid of that middle eye. It was just a help. Okay. So we got the eyes kind of roughed in. And I'm going to look at, let me measure your eye again. I'm going to go from the bridge of your nose. There's one eye that ends right about at the breakage of the nose. And then another eye. So it's about 1 3/4 eyes is the length of your nose. So let's do it here. There's one eye. And then let's say about 3/4 of an eye. And then there's your nose. So see, I kind of made your face a little short, but really that's just a placeholder. Okay, now we're going to do another fun little measurement. Well, first let me just, so this is about where your nose will end. Your nostrils up here. And now this other fun little measurement. So again, we're going to measure everything against your eyes. And so there's the length of your eye. Then from the bottom of your nose, your mouth is a little bit, because you have your mouth pulled up in this, it's a little bit shorter. Usually you'll have a full length. So I'm gonna put the bottom of your mouth right there. So what I did, I don't know if I recorded it, so let's go. The length of that eye, and then normally the bottom of your bottom lip would be right there, but because you have your mouth pulled up a little bit, it's going to be a little bit higher. So I'm going to erase that. Okay. So this is where your bottom lip will hit. And then, for clarity, let's see about where your chin falls. So your chin, because your mouth is pulled up a little bit, normally there's a full eye between your bottom of your bottom lip and your chin, but since your mouth is pulled up, it's a little bit longer. Now let's measure. Let's do the opening of your eye. So it's about half of that. So let's do the opening here, which is not that accurate. And then there's the top of your top lip. So this is all very approximate. So don't get too excited yet. And then I'm going to see, where does the edge of your mouth fall? And you're very symmetrical. And it falls right in the center of your eye. So that's how you lay out your main features. Looks just like you, right? Okay, now I'm going to measure just to get the side of your face right. So that's about half of an eye. So now I'm going to go down here. I'm going to go back. So that's going to be the side of your face there. And then on this eye, I'm going to see where, and it's a little, let's see. There's your eye there. And then it's a little bit more than a full, a little less than a full eye, but more than the other side. So I'm going to pull in that right there. So now we have the sides of your face laid out. Now we're going to go ahead and just kind of rough in your jawline. Don't get too carried away because it could be wrong. You want to make sure everything's right. And so now we've got some basic stuff laid out. Now let's get your eyebrows. So they're just kind of rough those in as well. You don't want to get too committed to anything too quickly. And you'll see there's this nice little fat pad right there. So that's going to go over your eye. Same here, and your shadows there are a lot deeper. So I'm going to kind of accentuate that a little bit more. And then you have your eyelid there. So just kind of laying that in real quick. So let's go ahead and just do one eye. So your eyes have fairly angular shape right there. I'm going to just accentuate that. And then you come down a little bit right there. And then this bottom lid comes there. So you're not going to get too carried away with that. And let's put your iris in. And you see it's partially covered by your upper lid. And then let's go back in and accentuate that upper lid a little bit more. So I am just roughing those in. This pencil seems really dark, but it's a 3H. And a nice little fat pad right there really gives a good shadow. So I'm just kind of roughing all that in right now. I think it's a little darker than I like it to be, but it is what it is. Okay. I made your irises a little bigger, but that's okay. It's weird drawing through my phone. Okay. So now notice you have a little thing right here. So that is, what that does is that indicates that your eyeball is round. It is a sphere. And so you will tone that as such. Okay. I know, it still looks awful, but hopefully it'll work out. I'm going to go ahead and look at this area here. So I'm just going to kind of rough that in, shape that in. Not getting too... Nothing gets tightened until everything is right. Now, if you'll notice here, the edge of your nostril lines up with the inside edge of your mouth. So let's just kind of... That was too much. Okay. So right now I just want to kind of get the shape of that nose there. Now let's see where this one falls. It comes in just a little bit before that one, before the corner, because you're turned ever so slightly to your left. So just roughing that in. And if you'll notice, the nose is really just a series of spheres that you tone. So if you'll notice this, you have the ball of your nose right there, which I got pencil on there. Let me get that off. Okay. Now, so that kind of is where the nose breaks. So there's a little bit of a ball there. Then you got that. And let's look at this shape here. So bring in the bridge of your nose, starting to take shape. You can even put in a little bit of tone there. It's all still very gestural. Now, the hard part. We can go back to that eye, that other eye in a minute, but let's get that upper lip in. That is going to be not so fun because of the way you have whatever that is you're doing with your mouth. So, but we have determined where it begins and where it ends, and then we get that. Now, see, that's not going to be that bad. Let me get rid of some of this mess under your nose. You want that nice and clear because you have some wrinkles there caused from the position of your mouth that I want you to be very sensitive about. So there's this tone you can see right there. And it's kind of a triangular shape. I'm just going to rough it in. And then there's now you want to be really careful with these wrinkles that are happening under your nose. If you want to change this expression, you can. Now let's look at your chin. It's a sphere right there. I think it might even come down a little bit more. I may have underestimated it. And then look at the line from here. So we're going to kind of bring that in. There's like a little tone right there. I want to be conscious of that. And it stops right at the edge of the sphere on your chin. And this is how we get these shapes. kind of laying that in for now. And now let's look at this side of your face. You have a nice cheekbone thing going on there. So bring that in. Don't get too carried away with anything. You want to keep it really nice and delicate. Now let's look at what's going on around your forehead, or forehead as some people say. And look at that dark area there, it's pretty substantial. That's where your hair casts a shadow. And now let's look at that shape up there. Oh, first let me make sure your forehead is the right size. Okay, on your picture, I'm going to measure against your nose. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to make sure you have enough brain box. Okay, so I made it a little bit taller. So now, I'm going to look at that shape there. How it kind of swoops around a little bit. Just kind of rough that in. And then there's that couple of interesting tones there. You want to go ahead and just lay those tones in. And this is really how you draw hair. You just look at the tones that are happening. So we got this. And right now I'm just kind of massing it in. I'm still not drawing. I'm just deciding where everything goes. And then right there, you've got that kind of swoopy curl that comes over your shoulder. So I'm just kind of roughing that in. It's pretty dark back in there, so we're going to just kind of show that. I want to refine your jawline a little bit right there. Then you have your shirt. And a little tiny bit of lace sticking out, which I think is fun. And here you got your shirt. Okay, so it's starting to take shape, looking a little bit more like you. I know it's still hard to tell. So, let's see. It might look more like you in real life than it does on this video. Okay. So this mouth, I'm worried is going to be a little problematic, but let's really look at it for what it is. So you have your upper lip is prominent here, so and it's really dark. And generally the upper lip is a lot darker, so let's really fill that in. I don't normally fill in things that solidly, but that's what's going on with your mouth. Let me get this shape here. There is no light on that upper lip, as you can see. But the magic happens on the bottom lip. So really look at the way that tone is happening down there. And just kind of softly lay it in. And then you can put more details in there later. But right now we just want to get that mouth roughed in pretty well. Get some of these scragglers. Ooh, that's not fun to erase on video. Okay. Alright. Look kind of like Meryl Streep there. Alright, let's work on this eye some more. So, I'm not very happy with it. So I'm going to move that pupil over a little bit. Now, I always ask you guys to make sure there's a lot of light on your face, which makes your pupils get really small. But there's a little trick. If you make your pupils a little bit bigger than they actually are, it gives a subliminal message to your viewer that you like them, and people respond to that. Did you know your pupils get bigger when you like something? They do. It's an emotional response, and it's very subliminal, and just a little trick that I like to use. If you want your eyes to repel somebody and give the idea that you have a secret, then you make them smaller, your pupils. If you want to welcome someone into your picture and have a more innocent look, you make them bigger. So that might be a little too big. Let me trim it down a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna trim it down just a bit. Okay, now as you can see in your picture, your eyes look almost black. So we're gonna give them a little bit more light than that, because photographs often, especially when we, I can't even remember what color your eyes are. Shoot, I think they're light. I could be wrong, but so I'm going to give them a lot more light anyway. So you see the light source is coming from the left there, pretty much. So I'm going to make them a little bit darker on this side. And then, of course, your eyelid is going to cast a shadow, even on the white. And definitely on your eye. So remember, right now I'm just in 3H, so it's not as dark as it's going to be. And then we kind of go a little bit lighter down here. Because remember, your eyes are translucent. Oops, sorry. And they are like a sphere. The lens over your pupil is translucent, and light comes in through here, and it exits through here, but you'll have a lot of other little things going on. Let me take my sad little kneaded eraser here and try to tap in a little bit more light. There, a little bit more there. And I'll go back in. And I'm going to put, also show that this is going in. So it's rounded like a sphere. So it goes in. And then right here you also, I already put that in, but I need to define the edge of your eyelid so that that shadow makes sense. Okay. I feel like I'm drawing in third person here. It's really weird. Okay. Starting to take shape. I'm going to switch to an HB. I'm really going to define the top of that eyelid because you do have makeup on, so we want to show that. And I'm not bearing down at all. I'm just putting another layer with a softer pencil on. And you see that pupil, I'm not making it all the way black because actually I want to indicate that that light that's coming in on your eyes kind of swoops across it. Does that make sense? So you really want to, I actually like to make the light a little bit more prominent than it is. So I kind of swooped it across, and we're going to have just a little implied line there. Really go on drama on these eyes. Let's get that eyeliner in there. And then just softly, and then more layers up here. And you see it's starting to feel like light is washing over it. Maybe I'm going to tone that down just a little bit right there. Ooh, actually that was a lighter pencil. Okay. Ooh, see what's happening? It's starting to feel more rounded. Now let's get these deep tones from right there in. I'm not bearing down at all. I'm just looking at what we have. Oops. And getting that shape in there. And it's nice smoky. I don't know if that's just the photograph or if that's your makeup, but there's this really beautiful smoky tone right here. So kind of throwing that in. I apologize if the camera veers away from what I'm doing. It's not intentional. So now I may have to put this on YouTube. It's going to be so long. Okay, so now I've just kind of roughed in all that. We'll go back in and refine it later. Of course, I'm smudging your mouth up. Poo. Okay, now I'm going to define your eyebrow a little bit more. You see it's darker on that outside edge there, so you want to really show that. So I'm not getting too carried away with that yet. We'll go back in with this 3H and throw in that another layer of that tone that's right there. And then kind of you see I purposely kept it pretty bright right in there because that area is raised and you want to indicate that. And then you come around and just softly put in a tone there. But this whole area is pretty well toned. And let's tone that eyelid while we're at it. And you may notice I have not even thought about eyelashes. Eyelashes generally look pretty horrendous when you try to draw them unless you're really skillful or careful. So, I mean, does that eye seem like it needs eyelashes? Not really. I'm going to put a little tad of tone. And even though you don't really see it that much there, it's a subliminal thing as well that pushes the eyebrow area out. And you could even, a little bit of light on that top of that eyebrow. Just a bit. I'm going to go back in with this, maybe I'll go with the HB first and darken, define the edge of your forehead. There. Go ahead and start darkening that. And then let's go back in with the HB. I mean the 3H. I'm going to lay those forehead tones down. So you can see it's really subtle, but there's a little bit of light right above your eyebrow. And you want to accentuate that to give the illusion of your eyebrow coming away from your face. So you start to, these shadows should start to indicate the hills and valleys. Your face is not just a smooth ball, it has a lot of different shapes. Still just kind of roughing in these tones, but you see I will eventually go back over it in a different direction, circular, another layer, and kind of get rid of some of those scratch marks. You just keep doing that over and over. Maybe I should hold my pencil different. Over and over until the scratch marks are not the main thing you see. So if you were to look at it from a distance, you see some nice tone there. And a little bit more tone up here as you get closer to the hairline. And let's go back in. Oh, crap. Hold on. Let's go back in. Sorry. I've never done this before. Let's go back in and darken that area as well. Just for definition, to help your brain acclimate to what you're doing. And that's a nice little shape there. As you see, it comes down and it tapers right there. And it really indicates the direction that your hair is flowing. But I'm talking about these as just shapes. So I'm not thinking, you know, drawing hair. I'm just drawing these shapes. And I have kind of smudged this up a bit with my big hand. But let's go back in and kind of pay attention to these tones here. And I'm going to come around where that ball is. Noses are nothing more than a series of shadows. So don't get hung up on, I can't draw noses, because you can. They're just shadows. That's all they are. You never want to get too hard lined with a nose, because then it starts to look like a cartoon. Okay, let's just kind of throw in that nostril there. And this, and you see, you don't really see your nostrils that much on this picture. They're just kind of indicated. And this one has a little bit of nose under it. And this one a little bit less. And then we get that flange there. And there's not, and there's, this is your light sources on this side, so there's not a whole lot of detail on the bridge of your nose there, so you're really relying on this tone here to give your nose substance. So let's go back up here. You see, I don't dwell on any one area too much because I like to kind of build the architecture of the face before I get into serious detail. So this right here is going to be really dark. Let me go back in there with the HB. I really want to indicate that bone structure right there. That's your brow. And how it, and then your cheekbone kind of comes around behind that. And you got that cheek shape, that bone shape, and then a jaw. So, dang, I wish I had two hands to do this with so I could cover part of it and not smudge it, but you're getting the idea, hopefully. Okay, so now I'll go back in with the 3H and lightly lay down those cheek tones. And you see that cheek comes down into the corner of your mouth. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring it up very gently. really pay close attention to what's happening in this area here, because that's what gives your mouth the musculature that's happening with that expression, which I think is a fun expression. It's just a little bit difficult to draw because you don't want to get, you want to soften these wrinkles right here because those can look extremely cartoonish. So I would really undermine those as much as you can. Now this just kind of softly reaches out and catches that. But it's very subtle. And you have light happening there. So this whole, actually, portrait is very subtle. Even though you have this real expressive look on your face, it's all very, very subtle. I'm going to put another layer up there because that's where it's really darkest. And you see I did a boo-boo right there, so I'm going to lift that. Get rid of that. I don't know how that happened, but it was easily gotten rid of. I want to get a little more expressive right in here, but not too. It can become rather clownish if you're not careful. So we're looking at that area, and if you look at that, it's a very specific shape. So let me just kind of indicate what I'm talking about. So it's kind of like that. So I'm going to very softly throw that in, and then I'll go back in here and kind of soften this up a little bit. I want to add another layer here, a really darker layer. So as you can see, things are starting to happen. Okay, so I'm only drawing the right side of the face. It's gonna take, it would take too much time away from your day for me to do the whole thing. But I'm hoping that by me doing that, you get an idea of. And I think that this should be enough for you to draw before you come back to class. I mean, if you can draw the other side, that's fine. Just keep it very delicate and subtle. And, you know, just kind of, just remember, do it exactly the same way I showed you on the right side. Just kind of getting those shapes in there. Now on this side, you don't have that deep thing. I'll go ahead and do this eye for you. And then it comes, you see that shape there? Bloop. Right here. Bloop. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Okay. So you want to do that? And then just kind of rough it in like that. That's how we start. And then figure out and keep it, you know, you want to keep in mind what's going on with the other eye. And on this eye, well, on both eyes, you can see the corner thingy, whatever that is. So you want to really be mindful of that. I don't know what that's called. Some little funny muscle. I'm going to go and get a little bit more detailed on this side. you got this little rim right here. You want to keep that fairly light. You may even want to go in and add a little bit more light to it because it indicates that lower lid, and everybody has that. Go ahead and line that back. Okay. And it's a really good thing to remember when you're doing a portrait. It's another one of those little subtle things, is to have that white rim on the bottom lid, because that indicates that this eyeball is pushing that out and creating this shape here. I don't know what this pencil is. Is that darker? No, that's not darker. I got a mess over here. This is my studio. What's that? It's a 2B. That might be good. Let's see. Oh, I see what's wrong. That brown needs to come down a little bit. Let's see. Get a little bit better shape here. Oops. I know it doesn't look exactly like you yet, but you just keep working on it and keep working. If you look, it's that side is looking at least human. And when you start throwing in more tones, let's play with this lip. If it doesn't look exactly like you, that's okay. You just want to, it should just feel alive and human, preferably. Not alien. Okay. So I'm really letting this bottom lip catch light. Now get that shape in there just a little bit. So I'm making this bottom shape just a little bit lighter than it is in the photo. And even though your lips are very dark, I'm letting a little bit more light happen here. Maybe. I don't know. You got that very peculiar little shadow right there. It's not peculiar, it's normal, but it's specific to what's happening with your mouth. And it's kind of shaped like an anvil, I guess, sort of. It comes around. I've used too dark of a pencil, so I'm going to brighten that up. Sometimes you just grab the wrong pencil, but it's easy to fix. I'm going to add a little bit more light right there, just for now. Then I'll go back in and I'll show these details. But don't get real, like, if you look at it, it's only really just one big line right there that comes out right there. And then the rest of them are kind of more subtle. So, okay, just a little subtle one there. And just some kind of indications that something's happening there. A little more tone there. Dang, is this 45 minutes already? Okay. It's crazy looking. And it's going to look crazy for a while until you get closer to the end. Starting to get there. And you can see I've got this side of the face seems a little bit off. So I'm going to fix that. So it starts to make your forehead way too big. Lots of brains. Anyway, this should get you started. Don't pay attention to that side because it's not even remotely done. See, I don't like the shape. Let me give you a little more hair right here. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the shape of this forehead. And it's rounded here, and then it has, because of your hair, so it's round, and then your hair kind of creates this little slant. So, just for future posterity, I'm going to lay it in there and then go in and refine it later. Okay? Alright, I hope that helps, and we will, now that left eye is too high. So let me just show you this real quick before I let you go. So I'm seeing that it's a little bit high. I just want to take, it's just ever so slightly too high. So I'm going to take it down just a little bit. Calm it down. So you see I lowered it just a little bit without erasing a thing. So good luck with getting started, and I will help you just lay down those basics, okay? And I'll help you when you get back. Go team!